Good day, it's been a while. Chief here for Chief Tells Tales. Today I'm going to talk about the physical training uniform. I wore my gray, sitting on it, I wore my gray old former PT uniform or just a sweat top outside for Halloween, and some parent walking his child came by. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And I said, yeah, this is only my second one. Now, when I first joined the military, they were phasing out the old, what people called the banana suit. It was this yellow suit. I think it had a black stripe on the legs. I can't remember. But I went to Fort Dix during winter time because I was there October through December. And the only ones that were wearing the banana suit were the PT rejects. If you didn't do 12 or 15 push-ups, I can't remember, at receps, you got thrown into the physical training platoon because that's about as big as they were. And these guys were constantly running all over base, and they were trying to get their cardio along with their deficiency because we only had to do, like I said, it was only push-ups, so we had to do it receps. So while they were running everywhere, I guess help them with their run later on. So here it is. This is the first iteration of the PT uniform. Now, at basic training, this is my Under Armour. I don't have any more brown t-shirts to go with my BDUs because my PT uniform while going through basic training was brown t-shirt, BDUs, bottoms, rolled up. We could roll up the cuffs so that way when we're tripping over the little tabs to tie them off at the bottom, and sneakers and or running shoes. I call them sneakers most of my life. A lot of people get upset. No, these are running shoes. Okay. Today I still buy what I classify as sneakers / running shoes, and I don't run all the time. So to me they're sneakers. But to a lot of people there are. So then I went to Berlin, Germany as my first duty assignment, if you followed my tales. And there we just had a mix mash of PT uniforms because this was still not being issued and or for purchase. So you could tell we were a military intelligence because we had the plethora of colors. We had the rainbow of colors. We had the people wore the neons, they wore the flats, the drabs. I mean, we just looked like a circus going to town, so to speak, coming into town. But one time I went over to the infantry concern, and they basically almost had the same outfit, something similar, so that they all looked alike. Because, you know, every sergeant major, he's got to make sure all his troops look alike. MI, they didn't care. So, got to Fort Riley, Kansas, my first stateside assignment, and I actually got issued this. I got the short sleeve shirt, two of those, two pairs of the bottoms, I do believe it was one of each. So I got the sweatshirt top, the sweatpants bottoms, t-shirt, and PT shorts. And showed up, and people already at Fort Riley had to purchase it. So when I showed up for PT and this, they're like, where did you get that? I said, I got issued. They're like, well, that's what you get a clothing allowance for, big boy. So this is my second one. I wore out my first outfit because I really didn't wear out the sweats because let's see, I went to warm climes for the rest of my enlisted career almost, except for Fort Stewart, and I think that's where I finally wore out one of these, and this was still the issue back then. And I didn't ruin mine in Hawaii like a lot of soldiers did because of the red clay, so therefore MI, military intelligence, we were kind of smart. We generally did our PT on a field that didn't have red clay leach up out of the ground every time it rained like a lot of the infantry guys did, because you would see this with red stains, or this style, I mean, with red stains, especially the bottoms, because you could tell they were doing their sit-ups and all that on clay underneath their field, and it was leaching up when it rained a lot there. At first, when this was issued, they said, don't let your spouse wear it. They didn't want to see these everywhere. That lasted probably about a year, because you saw these everywhere on spouses and everything else. They tried to keep it in the military, and it just did not work out, because, you know, you're talking to your soldiers. How come your wife or your husband is wearing your stuff on or off base? Well, I have no control over what they do when I come to work. You know, they see this, it's comfortable, it's convenient, it's probably still laying out because I didn't put it away. You know, master sergeant or drill sergeant or sergeant major. So, and then of course, you know, everybody had to wear the same. So if it was cold enough, sometimes you'd wear just the top. Lord forbid you showed up with the bottoms because you were extra cold and everybody was supposed to be in this. And then for the longest time, we had the black hat came with this one. Watch cap is what they call it in the Navy. This is a watch cap in the Navy. My dad told me that. He said that's what you wore on watch late at night on board ship or anywhere else. So there was at least there was no consistency, because, you know, you'd see some guys wear it, you know, this way. Some guys would roll this up. I think they frowned on us rolling it up, if I remember correctly, and all that other stuff. And I forgot to grab one of my BDU hats. Now, the BDU hat, the original one, comes with those ear flaps. Come to find out, it takes the sergeant major of the post to recommend that soldiers can take their BDU cap and pull those things over their ears. So I was at Fort Riley, and I got caught once or twice, I can't remember. Soldier, who gave you permission to put your ear flaps down? And I'm working outside where it's nice and cold and my ears are all bright red. Me, myself, and I. Get that off your ear. Get that cap looking right, you know, because everybody's got to look the same. And how many sergeant majors work outside in the cold? How many sergeant majors are working in the motor pool on a cold, wintry day in Fort Riley, Kansas? He may walk through, but he's not out there for 2, 3, 4 hours, sometimes all day. So that used to bother the heck out of me. They go to all this trouble to make an intervention to keep the soldiers' ears warm, but not once in my whole entire career was I authorized to put those ear flaps over my ear, not even at basic training. And I remember telling the story, you know, there we were the last Monday, we were all freezing, and the sergeant or the drill sergeant came up and pulled our BDU jacket or coat, jacket, whatever, and looked down and says, well, he did that to like several of us. And he said, go put your, your field jacket liners in. We turned those in last Friday. Drills are okay, stay out here and freeze. Meanwhile, our ears are bright red too, because we're standing outside waiting for formation. So a little bit later on in my career, the PT uniform changed. I have since worn out, like my previous set, worn out all my t-shirts, all my bottoms. So all I got left now is this ancient relic. And this came out next, and it's supposed to be reflective stripes. But, oops. And, so yeah. This was rather warm. This is the only one I ever had to purchase. Never got any of this stuff ripped off. And it came with its corresponding shirts and shorts to wear for PT. I wear these still, but after 10 years of retirement, the elastic is dead in the legs and dead in the arms. It's elastic, the elasticity, whatever. It's gone. But I wear it in the mornings when it's cold here in Texas. Throwing those off to the side, and I still wear my funky cap. Can't remember who put it out, but I saw somewhat comical, and I don't have one. I don't even know where it's at, if I even still got it. He did a whole video on the safety and the importance of the reflective yellow belt that we had to wear in the Army, at least. And it was kind of comical, because especially when that uniform came out, because on this one there's nothing to reflect. Hopefully in bright lights and seeing gray, somebody might realize it's a person inside this. It's not floating. It's not a ghost. But we went to that other uniform with the reflective panels, but we still had to wear the PT belt because we were making somebody rich. Probably somebody in Congress, for all I know. But when we wore the reflective belt in just the t-shirt and the shorts, it went around your waist. But if we wore the winter top, it was riding over your left shoulder diagonally. And you couldn't put it the other way. As a warrant officer, I tried that once and got yelled at by some sergeant major in the distance. "You got your PT belt?" And people would do that. They would see each other. "You got your PT belt on the wrong shoulder." Does it really frickin' matter? But it did, because everybody's got to look the same in the military. I got so tired of that. And it was a pretty comical video. And I was a rebel. Gee, haven't heard that one out of you yet, Chief. My last purchase was a blue one. Boy, that caused a stink, because everybody else had yellow. They also sold them in orange. They were in yellow, orange, and blue. So I bought a blue one, my last one. And because they were not built to last very long sometimes, because I've had one of the snaps break. I've had the thread flay, and put it on one time and went to pull it tight and just fell apart because the belt thread just separated from itself, and there it was, and had to tie a knot in it to make it stay on my body. Yeah, they weren't built to last, so someone was making a lot of money on the troops to make sure that we were all safety. Now, I didn't get that item either. I got an orange vest for when I ride my bike on base, because on base you have to wear an orange vest when you're riding your bicycle. Here you are, bigger than a running and walking person, but you still got to wear an orange vest. At least back then. I think you can probably get away with the PT belt nowadays. But when at my first AIT, we had road guards who wore those orange vests, because we walked several blocks to get to schoolhouse, and we had a upper officer's daughter run into one of our troops. Didn't knock him over, but ran into one of our troops, and he was there with his hand out. He had maybe a flashlight, depending on the time of day. I can't remember. I was early in the morning, but I think he didn't require the flashlight. But he was standing there at parade rest with his arm out, and this officer's daughter still connected with him. Drill sergeant got mad, or we had black hats. Black hat got mad at her, and then I heard that typical thing, "But do you know who my husband is?" I don't care who your husband is, because when I tell him that you ran into one of my soldiers, he's going to be on my side, ma'am. Somewhere along those words. So that is, and now they even switched the new PT uniform. I haven't gotten one yet. I probably should, at least the winter stuff, so that way I don't get wind blowing up my sleeve or up my legs, because that does happen. The cold air does come through. So when you don't have the tight sleeves and the tight leg bottoms, cold air comes seeping in. So that is it. A little bit about the physical training uniform, the PT uniform. And I have an itchy nose. I'm sorry. I've been rubbing it all video. So, yep, I'm looking a little rough. I'm going to see what it looks like again. It'll probably be gone in a week. It's itchy. Not used to that. So, Chief out. Remember, freedom's not free. I hope the craziness ends over in Ukraine. You hear all these stories of Russians don't want to do this, do that, but where are those open gaps in their lines? There are none, it seems like. So Chief out. Freedom's not free. You know what to do with the vet. And remember, this is November, so Veterans Day is coming up.